he is, and I know he is going to integrate Dogecoin into the whole payments platform of X. Of course he will.
Yeah.
It's Elon's world and we live in it. Somebody said that. It's like we live in a massive game and he's the only character in the game. We're just non-player characters in the game. But it's kind of true. He's like, I think it's funny if we create Doge to be the world's biggest currency. Call it the government department over it. Stick bananas on a rocket. I mean, he doesn't care.
In this interview on Raoul Pal, the Journeyman with Raoul Pal, we explore how exponential technologies are igniting digital asset expansion, why Bitcoin's $100,000 milestone signals a new global monetary paradigm, and how tokenized real-world assets are transforming traditional finance. Bitcoin is finally trading at $101,000 with recent market changes. Don't miss this pivotal moment. If you're hungry for more crypto insights, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell.
Technologists have taken over the White House.
That's what it is?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the greatest time because they were all involved. All of the crypto packs are involved. Elon was involved. JD Vance is a ex-VC. Vivek, it is all an accelerationist government. So this is why we have never had a government of this type ever. I don't think anywhere in the world. The guy I met in San Francisco, which I won't mention on camera, he bought Bitcoin at $3.
Yeah.
And put $2 million in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what else have you done? He goes, nothing really. And he's got a few businesses he's built around Bitcoin. He now is so Bitcoin standard that any investment he makes, he has to look at it. Is it going to outperform his Bitcoin? And he's made, I don't know how much he's spent on route and taken off the table, but he's made billions upon billions, probably the greatest trade of all time. He's probably done the greatest trade of all time. The thing that's interesting to me is what you mentioned is, you and I know, because we've all spoken to people, is the finance system's been waiting for the green light. The big Web 2 companies have been waiting for a green light. There's a lot of people who've been waiting for a regulatory green light. Now, we haven't got it yet because we need regulations. But I look at the finance system, and I think one of the things you've been talking about as well is if they're going to build, there's an obvious choice for them, which is going to be Ethereum. Ethereum has the native yield, and it is the kind of IBM or Microsoft of the space. I think people are underestimating how fast finance is going to come because they've all been working on it. And it's a very likely an Ethereum ecosystem thing overall. Basically, because they were the team from Facebook that built Libra.
Yeah.
So they're a very smart, well-proven team that's done big things. Obviously, it got shut down by governments. But what they did is they just went and said, we're just going to build the entire Web 2 stack, not just the protocol layer of the token, but we'll build on top of it. We'll build a liquidity layer. We'll build a data storage, a distributed data storage layer. So they've taken all the component parts of Web 2 because they're from Facebook, they understand it, and have rebuilt them all as different protocols on top of the SUI layer. So it's also extremely fast. It's extremely fast. So it's faster than any other protocol in the world. So the latency to settle a transaction is 400 milliseconds. It's stupid fast. And it's infinitely scalable. It just needs more compute hardware. So it's infinitely scalable. So TPS is not an issue. So none of the restraints of normal blockchains are an issue. It's also got a new language that uses something called object-based programming, of which you can do a lot more within it that's not possible now. So it's the flexibility, the new programming language, the speed, and then the full stack that they're building, that really what they're trying to do is go for let's say gaming is one, financial markets and other stuff, sure, but really it's the Web 2 infrastructure layer, the whole thing, that they have the capability to go after. So it's very, very interesting. They're kind of very focused. They know what they're doing. They're super smart people. So let's see,
As discussed by Raoul Pal, let's explore these critical themes. First, exponential tech adoption fueling digital asset markets. Second, Bitcoin's role as a secure global monetary anchor. And third, how real-world asset tokenization is bridging old and new financial systems.
From what Scott has said, made clear is, yes, they want the kind of fiscal cleanup, so we're issuing less bonds, so i.e. a lower deficit. But they're not just going to wholesale throw people out into the streets, as you said. They want to create efficiencies and deregulation, which Scott's bet is they've only got one choice here. You either keep compounding the debts at record levels, or you try and generate some GDP growth. And this entire government is all about GDP growth. And Scott said, I want to get the oil price lower and the dollar weaker. I mean, this is like macro heaven. If he can pull this off, this is like perfect situation. Deregulation, lower oil, lower dollar. Because China and Japan and all of the others can't buy US goods because you can't export your way with a too strong a dollar. China's kind of at a choke point because of the currency. And so everyone just wants the dollar lower because it ignites world trade. Like, you've got to export stuff if you want to reduce the deficit. Scott said this. Don't forget, we had similar under Reagan. The dollar went down because they wanted it. So, my general view is the dollar is in a secular bull market, but cyclically, they want it a bit lower. I totally get that. My view is cyclically, as the economy starts growing properly, you tend to get a weaker dollar. I think once we've got tariffs plus a reduction of deficits, we probably end up with a very strong dollar 2026, 27. Because you can't export it. Because who do you export to? Everyone's a bit sluggish, right? China's in the... Europe's a mess right now as well. Who the hell do you export to? And you've got to export your way out. Because you need the deficit to go down, the trade deficit as well. And you've got to sell goods. But if you're too expensive, it's not a great way of generating rapid, strong growth. But as you said, it's very offsetting because the US is their only home of investment right now. So it's complicated, I guess. If the acceleration in the trend is just vast, and it's only going to get bigger because we've just unleashed a new understanding, which is like these AI agents are likely to use blockchains, and they're infinitely scalable in numbers. There's no limit to the total population or whatever. There's infinite, and you can start to see how much activity can go on chain, as you say, because so much of the world is still off chain, and this new government and what everybody else is doing is just going to bring more and more of this activity. Once you bring all driver's licenses on, all digital IDs on, if you put your digital ID in the US on, that's 370 million users come on immediately. They're not using blockchains as in buying and selling crypto. They're using the rails for proof. There isn't. I mean, AI has been fast, right? Really, really fast. But nothing like this, certainly nothing that is financialized. AI is not financialized. This is financialized, and it's growing at a pace. When I just look at the larger measure of active addresses, again, not accurate, but compare them to IP addresses of the internet, same kind of thing. We'll have multiple wallets, we'll have multiple IP addresses. We're growing at twice the speed of the internet and have been for 10 years. This is la la land.
Yeah.
We've just seen that tornado cash ruling last night.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to dig into that. What was the...
So really, they tried to prosecute a person, a developer, for a piece of code, which was a DeFi, decentralized finance protocol. And it got thrown out by the Court of Appeal, saying you can't prosecute code. And so, it's under freedom of speech, code is. And so it just makes DeFi much more doable now. Well, and also, don't forget, bloody Trump's son has got a DeFi protocol. I mean, if that's not a big enough signal, I don't know what is.
To watch the full interview, check the link in the description. We've examined the forces behind digital asset expansion, recognized Bitcoin's pivotal achievement at $100,000, and understood the impact of tokenized real-world assets. We would love to hear your thoughts on some questions. Which real-world assets do you see benefiting most from tokenization? How will Bitcoin's $100,000 milestone alter traditional investor mindsets? Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, and share to keep pace with the accelerating world of decentralized finance.